one.
Your butt is the bomb.
What the fuck?
Hey, let's go.
Oh my
Bro,
god! What the?
if you don't know that reference, we can't be friends.
I
Yeah, I don't know
mean,
that
I don't
reference.
even
Let's say
know
we
that
can't be
either.
friends. Wow. Okay. Well, Brian was never a friend.
Floyd, would you like to explain to yourself as our way to introduce that?
It's a scene. It's literally what Jake Peralta from Brooklyn Nine-Nine says a lot.
Okay, so
a
that's
lot
the
of words
thing.
you
Now,
just- that's just a lot of words you just said there.
so here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have not watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
You're missing out.
You
are missing out, Brian. You're missing out tremendously.
Well,
There's a bomb in the police station.
What?
It's your butt. Your butt is
Oh,
the bomb.
shit. Well, good
What's that,
evening,
Miss
everybody.
Tina?
How's everyone doing tonight? After the chaotic intro there. Whoop.
No chaotic intro. Not at all.
Nah, that's pretty normal.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Pretty
Well, shit. Well, won't matter anyways, because today's topic, we are going to do a wrap up, or in this case, we're going to talk about the stuff that we saw at the Game Awards. And let's just say we were all
Except me.
wrong.
I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah, we were all wrong for Game of the Year here in the Hot or Trash podcast here.
Not all wrong. I didn't vote.
Yeah,
Exactly.
true. But if you had to give it a choice here, these were your nominees for Game of the Year. It was Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, The Elden Ring DLC, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor. Which one would you have picked?
None of them, because none sound appealing.
Okay, fair enough. But
Because he probably doesn't even know the game.
that is,
Correct, I do not.
well, that is perfectly fair. But I'm going to go ahead and for our viewers here, we're going to switch it to presentation time, as this is probably the easier way to showcase y'all of the winners. Oh no, I messed up on the transition. Oh well, it'll be fine. Anyways, but here we are in the winners section, and I forgot on my side to stream to y'all so that y'all can see what I'm looking at. Discord streaming, that's where we're all in this session here. But let's go ahead and view the winners here for this one. Well, view all categories first. So if anything, the game icon should tell you what we voted. So we thought Black Myth Wukong would have won, and those that didn't watch the Video Game Awards, ta-da, Astrobot won instead, which was not in our bingo cards at all.
Nobody's bingo cards, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we were gonna laugh too if like somehow Balatro wins, being it was like a one-man indie dev game that was like a mobile hit success. But I think in general too, here's the thing though, maybe I haven't played Astrobot. I just remember like watching a couple gameplay clips of it too. It really did remind me of like watching a Little Big Planet game. But yeah, that is mostly all I can really think about too. Okay, sure. Black Myth Wukong honestly should have taken the spot due to the fact that it was a really good game in terms of actually introducing us something new, albeit maybe the gameplay wasn't like fresh, as it pretty much harkens back to like a action RPG similar to an Elden Ring Souls-like game, or any of the genres similar to that. I could be wrong about all this too, but the other contender would have been Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which we're not going to go through all of the categories of what won in this regards to. Anybody here can go to the Game Awards website and just look at all of this, because really the main important part is literally the Game of the Year. Let's be honest here. Yeah, but it's very strange too that like this is probably one of Sony's honestly last good games too. Given the fact that there's also the news because of Final Fantasy games, or Square Enix has in this case a exclusive deal with Sony until not too long ago, a few months back here. Sorry, words are hard. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for those that don't have a PS5 or don't want to fork over for a PS5, it's coming to PC. Hooray! So
that was the most monotonous hooray ever.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not. I don't know how else I could really show this excitement. I have stuff in my throat real quick.
Oh, that's some dick in your mouth.
Hey, come on. But historically speaking, too, we haven't really had that many Square Enix game honestly come over to like PC ports in general. Like it took like what was it, like 2 years after the launch of Kingdom Hearts 3 to give us the complete edition on the PC. I think.
It took some time. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was 2 years.
Yeah, but it felt like as though like this is us making a hot take a while back with this dude that like Sony at this point is doing a lot of things that end up wanting to shoot themselves in the foot here. One of which is for those that when if you are all tuned in from last podcast, dude, we were talking about them retroactively changing the rules such that DLCs, expansion packs, and season passes could qualify for the Game of the Year nomination or just any nomination whatsoever. The only problem with that is that sounds good, but the only one that honestly meets that was Elden Ring Shadows of the Erdtree. I don't think there were. Yeah, and there was no other DLCs, expansion, or whatnot that actually made it through. Because let's go over to where was it? Was it best community support? No, shit. Where was the one that had the? Where was the Diablo 4 one? I think it was innovation and accessibility. Yeah, so innovation and accessibility. Diablo 4. It does not mention in this case the recent expansion, which is Vessels of Hatred. If that was the case, I felt like that could have been nominated to go up into one of those categories, but it didn't, and only Shadows of the Erdtree was. Where I'm trying to get at with this is that I felt like this was like in a way too that they did not have enough nominations to actually qualify for Game of the Years. Because if I take a look here, Balatro and Elden Ring Shadows of the Erdtree felt like it was kind of tacked on there due to two type IP titles that were supposed to take that spot, but it ended up falling through due to massive failures or setbacks. One example was most definitely Concord, as much people memed at it too. But there was a lot of things that we talked about Concord where it was supposed to be Sony's biggest franchise success here, or they were banking on that shit. Despite the fact that it probably put them in like a $4 million hole, but we won't talk about that.
We already did.
Yeah, we won't talk about that again. And the other one I felt like that was going to take the Game of the Year spot was the Assassin's Creed Shadow game that was supposed to release on November. But Ubisoft decided to postpone it due to the backlash of what legitimately the normal audience saw the state of the game with its trailer. It was really bad. And so they decided to bank it on February. So therefore, they could not release a game on November, which would have qualified them for a nomination in the Game Awards. So at least that's my 2 cents of why I felt like Balatro and Elden Ring Shadows of the Erdtree were included, or they had to change the rulings to include that, just because no other games would kind of match it too. We're not talking about Star Wars Outlaws as, yeah, Ubisoft. But if anything, Lloyd, was there outside, if anything, remember we were talking about you were excited about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Was there anything else that you remember in those trailers that actually caught your eyes, or that was the only thing?
And what trailers?
That's a lot of the game trailers that were released or that were rolling out throughout the Game Awards.
Honestly, not really. I was kind of watching football.
Oh, you were watching football? Ah, shit. Well,
yeah, I was like, it's just video games during the video games awards. I'm like, I'm not too excited unless it's something I know. Most of it I didn't even know. How am I gonna get excited for it? This is like short, simple trailer. I mean, I have to play it.
Yeah,
I would have to play it to give myself an opinion on it. So
yeah, fair point here. And albeit too, there were like at least a lot of really good trailers that did come out. Some kind of questionable. The others are actually really surprising. Such as for those that have played the Nintendo Wii games, Okami is getting a sequel, which features a dog character named Amaterasu. So there's that one. And we also had a surprising comeback of the Ninja Gaiden series. Unfortunately, not the 3D version, but it's the 2D platformer one. Kind of really want to see a Ninja Gaiden game personally, but I'll settle for the 2D one for right now. And the other one that actually was interesting here, shit, trying to go back in my mind real quick, see what else was noteworthy outside of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that came on to, that's going to be on PC next month here. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Tekken 8 next DLC guest character, fucking Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
That's not Colonel Sanders.
Well, unfortunately, Harada decided to include a character that's not Noctis, but he shares the same exact moveset as Noctis.
Well, Harada should also include Colonel Sanders.
Well, we all want that. We also want the Waffle House map. We're not getting either of those yet.
Well, I'm not playing this game until they have that.
I don't think you played the game in several months.
Correct. That's why.
You
God
stopped for
damn.
like a good minute, then you just.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, actually, speaking of like a good, cool game trailer we saw, we're getting, in this case, official gameplay stuff that we see for Borderlands 4. Oh, fucking boy.
Borderlands?
Yeah, Borderlands 4, another game where me and Victor are going to take a full-on year to complete.
Well,
Well,
more like never.
Because we barely play.
That's true. But it's surprising enough that we're getting at least that game actually coming out soon. Although, to be fair though, it was already hinted that there was going to be a Borderlands game. Although it had like a very realistic looking appearance to it, on top of the fact that it's supposed to look like a comic book style art. I don't know how to really feel about that, because that was something that like not maybe like Borderlands 3 as much. At least in terms of visual. But no, there's about like all we can really say about it too. I mean, me and Victor, we watched the all the way through. What'd you think about this year? Victor?
What are you talking to? Talking to
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I
What?
addressed you. Oh, no, the Game Awards. Like
Did
in
you
general
watch
too,
it?
like the whole award. In general, the whole of it, this year awards. How did it compare to the last time when we watched it?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I thought we did watch it together last year.
Wow.
No,
No. Wait.
not
Last
this
I
year.
didn't watch it this year.
I thought you were with me. Well, who else was with me?
Well, dude, I think you're
Matt-
schizophrenic.
No,
I
Matt
am.
was watching with you. I wasn't.
Oh,
I don't think Victor was even present. He was talking to his
Well,
wife.
okay, no, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
okay. Though
busy,
we were in
bro.
the room, but I did not know that you were not watching. Ah, shit. My bad.
That's why
Man.
I'm telling you. You should explain to me everything that's going on.
Oh,
This
God
man is
damn
just schizophrenic.
damn! I was
I don't think
actually
it's
fucking schizo.
schizophrenic. This boy just doesn't listen.
My bad. Oh god, this is so embarrassing now. Ah, god damn it. Okay, so I will actually have to remember all the stuff that happened. Okay, so outside of like, honestly, there's a lot of games trailers on there that were actually new title games yet, but most of them were like rendered CG stuff. The other returning title was like the Witcher series, which for those that are in the know about that, yeah, the new Witcher 4, we're gonna be playing as Ciri as the main character. Yeah, so we're gonna play as the girl, or in this case, Geralt's surrogate daughter, effectively.
Wow.
Yeah. And for those that also want to go into the weeds about some lore stuff, I'm gonna state this for the most part. Yes, it's true that women cannot be witchers due to certain things, but there's a definite caveat with a lot of this too. It does not account for the fact that, firstly, Ciri contains, in this case, an elder blood, which in lore-wise makes her already like a unique individual in the first place. So whatever we know about the lore-wise, we hardly know too much of how it would interact itself with some of the mutagenic transformation for the Witcher stuff. To other translation, it's the same way how Spartans get their augmentation.
Mm.
Especially if you're an adult. usually that would just kill anybody. But for Ciri, she actually lives through that because obviously there's something different about her entirely. We don't know much about it outside the fact that she did lose the ability to use her old former magic where she was able to like go through dimensions and times. For those that have said this is spoilers, you had all this time to play Witcher 3. Get on with it.
Oh baby.
I agree.
So, minus the spoilers, there were a lot of people that were just criticizing the fact that, oh, why could we just play as Geralt too? And why do we have to play Ciri? Firstly, we don't even know how far in the future we are for the Witcher 4 series, because it clearly looks like Ciri is much more older in this iteration that she did back in the last game. And secondly, it was already given that Geralt would have been is effectively retired. Like, he doesn't want to do this shit no more. So effectively, it really just boils down to Ciri being the most logical next main character here. And so, for all those wondering too, like, yeah, I thought in this case women can't be witchers and whatnot. Yeah, women can't be witchers. Just said again, Ciri's just different because of the fact that her own birth was different in the first place, being the fact that she is an inheritor of the Elder Blood. I can't really describe to you what else really contains about it because a lot of the lore itself is not really explained fully. Outside of the fact that it's super unique and whatnot, it contains great power over the whole world or shit like that. So this is like a minus tangent talk here too. The hot take would be it's fine that Ciri is the main character for The Witcher 4. I don't even think it is a hot take on this one. I think people at this point are just super upset that it's not Geralt.
Well,
So to all you, fuck off. I want to see how this game rolls out.
sure.
Yeah. But really, that was the only notable thing too. Borderlands 4 is a good one. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Yay, people don't have to fork over $700 for a PS5.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah,
Oh,
you already
man.
did. Whoa.
I didn't. Fucked it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did.
my
Look at that. Oh my god. Whoa.
Yeah. God, imagine paying that much for a PS5 console just because the fact that you justify increasing the price just because Concord absolutely failed hard.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Gotta recoup the money somehow.
Yeah. By fucking over your Sony fan base even more because of your bad decisions.
Hell yeah. Best
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah. And needless to say, this was in this case Sony's year that it's practically going to shit for them. But for very strange reasons, Sega and Atlas games have been popping off this year too, with Metaphor, Persona games, and
Dude, I don't think it's for no reasons because they make a fucking beautiful ass game.
did I say no reasons?
Everything
My
you buy
bad.
is no reason.
Yeah, you did.
My bad. I did not mean to say no reason. But obviously they were like releasing a lot of great quality games this year. So outside of all of that too, yeah, really kudos to the Game Awards too. It actually looks way better this year. And obviously there wasn't a bunch of like the one kid that went up to say some weird shit like last year.
What a shame, bro.
Yeah, he
could've
did not
gone
make
for round 2.
Yeah, he could have gone for round 2. But the truest moment in the Game Awards was the crazy flute guy that was at the concert or the orchestra group. Why did I say concert? Orchestra group, where it's a guy that plays a flute, and then after every shot that's not panned from it, and we go back to it, he's playing a different instrument. I'm like, what the fuck?
Man, it's just multi-talented, you know?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I looked at him up too. He is in this case a very famous like flautist. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but he's very good at music
Flautist.
instruments. Not flautist. That's a different food. That's a different thing entirely. But
Flautist.
Yeah.
he's very
That's crazy.
talented in that too. It's also because like he actually works really closely with another famous composer called named Hans Zimmer, who in this case create all the who create the original soundtracks for Dune and the Dark Knight trilogy, notably. So
Excuse me.
But there's not really else though that honestly caught my eye compared to last time too. At least this time around, there wasn't like a lot of like remakes, rehashes, or just studios having no idea what to trust for new IPs. We got some cool IPs here. So any of you guys go to their YouTube channel or go to like any game journalism site too, you'll see like a bunch of like game trailers that came out for the Game Awards. I'm not really gonna go too much into detail or whatnot about it since it's going to be a lot too, and I would rather talk about another thing too, which if anything I would like to say congratulations to the developers of Astrobot making the Game of the Year nomination. You guys were certainly not my pick, but hey, at least out of everything else, I would prefer Astrobot winning than the DLC winning Game of the Year. That's just a personal thing here. But on the other note here, we're going to switch into gears real quick for another topic here, which is currently what's going on with Steam here. I've told Victor about this off podcast here about some of the things on here, but to run it down and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this too, due to us being game developers here. But there's a new policy change within Steam where it is giving more authority control of Valve here, where for those that want to publish their games on their platform, if they have DLC content, season passes, or anything that like requires additional purchases for the players, they need to have like a set date of release for that. It could be a specific date or it could be like Q1 or Q4 of like a season, whatnot. The main takeaway about all this is that if the publisher needs to reschedule the content for more than 3 months, Valve has the authority, right, to take your content off of the store page and then officially send out refunds for those that have bought it too, especially for those that have season pass and you did not get the content that it was supposed to come to you. And they will refund you based on the value of the content here. Now I'm mostly asking you about this one here, Victor, just because there was some questions about the public about like, does this hurt like indie developers as much? And I kind of want you to kind of state this on the record for here too, because I know your answer for this one.
Well, it hurts indie developers. I don't think so because they don't even like come out with these season passes to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Or usually if it's like additional, even if it's like additional DLCs too, they usually don't even announce it too, and they usually just drop it whenever, really.
Yeah, I mean, DLCs just come as the game gets bigger. I mean, usually they don't even make like DLCs really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless it's like a big indie studio, but if it's like the smaller ones, they're not gonna make DLCs.
Yeah. So this is like something that like, again, it's rather interesting too that like Steam or Valve entirely, we're gonna refer like Steam like owners to like Valve here for the purpose of this conversation. Valve is doing a lot of work to kind of just, at this point, it seems like all their actions at this point are protecting consumers. And for those that are trying to figure out if this is good or bad, this is a good thing for a lot of us, just because half the time too, not all the publishers do give out release date and whatnot too. But obviously, if they do decide to like, hey, we won't be able to make it to the release date of this specific content and we got to push it back a few, they could try to battle out with Valve. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Valve's final decision that they could just take your shit off of the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that we honestly haven't seen usually enforced a lot in any other platforms, really. Just because the way how I kind of view it too. Even though this could apply to video games, I kind of want to know if this has like other spaces that this could be used for like online retail course or online retail platforms. Especially if the platform is also like hosting like launched releases and whatnot for a product. Since, you know, we do want to, in this case, protect consumer money of like, let's say you buy a season pass, but then obviously the developer or the studio in charge of that does not meet their promise of like their release date. And next thing you know, shit, I bought like $30 for a season pass and I'm not getting shit out of it. So in general, good for Steam to do all this stuff too. There's also the question argument too that like I think this is coming from Asmongold too, where he mentions that like this is great and all that Steam is allowed to do this, but it's also something that like I don't know. This feels like in this case a policy that should be like that should be a regulation or straight up a law set by the government so that it's like an anti-consumer practice kind of shit. Especially protecting consumers from other like retail spaces that would platform, in this case, digital assets that have a release date, but then they just end up like canceling that shit overall. So, in your opinion too, and again, I already know about what you were going to say here, Victor, but I do want you to at least state what you said to me before on the record here. On what did you say about like should government actually step in to enforce the same type of shit that Steam is doing as a law, or is it something that doesn't really matter and it's not something that the government should be concerned about?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, honestly. A lot of people, of course, if you're really involved in the whole gaming community, you would think that government should be more involved, but you know, the government doesn't involve itself until something bad happens, really.
Yeah.
So as long as Steam is doing what they're doing, I don't think the government should get involved. I think it should still remain as it is, how it is now, like them just doing their own thing,
like a laissez-faire kind of approach to all this.
Just the typical capitalist approach.
Yeah,
there's no need for regulation unless Steam is just hurting the consumer, like every other big tech company out there.
Yeah.
There's the reason why the government's starting to intervene now, because those big tech companies are doing things that are harming consumers.
Yeah.
So
let me move over to the main scene here because there's not much else that I'm going to be showing on the presentation time. So moving into the main scene, back to our office. Oh, damn it. I forgot. This is not the one that have the table that I drew. Oh, well. But there's also like concerns about it too, being the fact that, let's be honest, Valve effectively has a monopoly into video game e-commerce space. Like they are the biggest platform for like games in general too. And that is also something that we noticed too. A lot of publishers are kind of dropping their own launchers or their own like platforms that they self-host their own games just because, hey, they're not really getting enough customers or consumers to like actually go onto their launchers. And so they said, fuck it, just put everything onto Steam, because from what I hear so far, Valve is actually giving, in this case, a lot of these big publishers or like game studios like different rates that Valve is allowed to take from sales revenue. So that's also probably why we're seeing a lot more of that, because beforehand, nobody wanted to be on there just because of the fact that Valve would take like 30% of the cut of the sales, which is, in a lot of cases, that is a lot. That's almost as egregious an amount as Apple stores or at the App Store itself. But what I'm going to with this right now too is that there has been some update news that Valve might be involved in a class action lawsuit over the fact that they are taking 30% of the sales. Just because the fact that, we now hear that publishers and AAA dev studios are getting, in this case, special rates based on like what they worked in negotiation with Valve here. And all the indie developers, they don't really have that power to like negotiate, in this case, sales percentage number. However, there's the whole thing too, to like, if you make like under $500,000 or something like that too for your sale too, you're only, Steam or Valve is only taking 20% of that. But if you make more than $1 million too, it's 30%. But the whole lawsuit itself too was them targeting the fact that it's not only on top of the fact that Steam is taking 30%, but it's also like whenever do you see Steam's like big ass like sales deals and whatnot too. A lot of times, whenever you see those deals or sales, they're mostly like AAA games that are like splashed to you at the front of the page. Hell, even the algorithm is mostly like prioritizing the big games first before the indie developers, studio games. And I have some things to say about that too. And it may sound like we're going to be like kind of like against the indie developers, but do note that this is just us stating the reality of all this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This is a hot take for sure. I mean, like, let's be honest here. Indie developers, not every game is going to be popular.
Yeah.
And even promoting these indie developers, the game is not good. It's still not going to sell.
Yeah. Like, and then some people could say, but what about Balatro? That being like a single developer indie company and whatnot too. But then again, they have a different reach of why their games are designed the way they are, so that it's appealing for a mass audience. Like, there's a lot of
Mm.
things that go behind the game design that a lot of times with indie developers, you have so much creativity room to do whatever the fuck you want. But obviously, too, you can't always create what you want. You always want to try to create what does the market, in this case, what does the consumer base want? Because at the end of the day, you can still make like your passion projects and whatnot too. It's just the whole thing, like set your own expectations correctly too. Like, okay, I'm making this type of game too. What kind of game is it? And is there a lot of people that like it? That's usually the questions that you would ask. But
Yeah.
the lawsuit entails in the fact that like it gives a lot of like indie studios like not a lot of leeway room to like negotiate with Valve to like push down like how much the percentage that they're taking from like sales. Mind you, Valve in this case, they take money from sales that are about either game purchases, trading cards, either other DLC stuff too, or putting money into Steam Wallet. They take some percentage of that too. Like, it's kind of insane, really, how like the fact that yes, 30% may be a lot, but like what we mentioned before, this is something that like it's 30% to do business. And at Steam, as they are the biggest platform with the biggest amount of customer reach possible, you as like the individual indie developer too, since I guess in Victor we could kind of classify ourselves as that here.
I mean, we are.
Yeah. Like you really just got to play the game here of like you developing a product that people want. If people don't want the product too, don't expect like a massive amount of sales coming your way.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, everybody thinks they make the best game in the world, but when reality hits you, it's a different story.
yeah, like I can understand too that like Steam usually is like really good at promoting a lot of indie develop or indie titles. Like that was something that they were actually good about, was good about their platform, was the fact that a lot of normal people too got to see like, oh, this is a very interesting game. Oh, what's this? Raft, the final chapter. Oh, that's a base building crafting world. What's it like too? Oh, we're on fucking rafts and whatnot. We got to build our base off of like fucking rafts here. That's interesting. Like, here's the thing about the whole class action lawsuit that they're trying to push here too. It would only work if everything, all you see are AAA games. But my algorithm feed, I guess if I'm different on this too, or if people's are is not equal as mine, I see like a bunch of like indie games coming my way too. So it's not like my whole feed is just all AAA titles all the way through. Like, yeah, I see a couple of them. That's something that's to be expected at a fucking video game market store. So, again, I don't really see why like this has to be a thing here. And for the indie developers too, this doesn't really hurt you guys honestly too much to think about too. Because let's be honest, we looked at in this case when we were making stuff for the Unreal Engine too. We looked at in this case, okay, we could platform a game onto like the Epic Store too because they only take like 8%. But the biggest issue again is the fact that Epic Game or the Epic launcher does not hold like or does not have like a lot of customer base to begin with. Like there was like the whole push to like Epic Games where it was like if you have like an account on there, they will give you like a free game like every 2 weeks or something like that. But even then, that wasn't enough to like actually get people to use their platform. Because I think here's the other take that I want to say too, that a lot of people are sick and tired of. I don't think a lot of like the customers or the player bases too of the gamers, they don't really want to have like a lot of launchers to just play a game here. Because do y'all hate it too whenever you try to start up like any game that's on your Steam library, but then there's like an attached like launcher that this developer has that you have to go through that shit too in order to play your game? For example, Ghost
EA.
Recon and Wildlands, or Ubisoft too. God, I fucking hate their Uplay.
That's annoying. I mean, that means you got to create another account just to play a single game. You got to make 2 different accounts then.
Yeah.
You got to make a Steam account and then whatever other account you're trying to play. Hey, Delta Force, bro. this new FPS game, if y'all heard of it, I'm sure. I mean, all of us here has, but but that Delta Force game requires you to make an account, from what I see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that means you got your Steam, you're launching it from Steam, but then there's another launcher that comes up, and then you gotta launch the game from that again.
Yeah.
That's annoying, bro.
Yeah. Or if anything too, maybe it's not the fact that like if this is like creating, or it's like the game is launching itself through a second launcher, it's the fact that you have to make another account on that launcher instead of like, why couldn't we just link accounts here? Like, why can't I use my Steam account to just log in through that launcher?
Why don't they do that?
Yeah, it gets very annoying too. It's like, I get that in some cases too, it's like privacy protection and whatnot, so you gotta make all these. But for a normal consumer base, they're not gonna fucking deal with that shit. It's annoying as hell to deal with.
Well, what privacy protection? I mean, like, you shouldn't be putting all your information on Steam. But even then, even if you do, it's already public anyway, so why does it matter?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's very much like that would be the only logical thing I could think about to why they don't do it. But even then, that doesn't make sense. But obviously, I think I know why. And we could see this example with like Uplay here. I know it's a little bit off track here, but it will get back to the original point here. But with Uplay, you definitely do create like you do have to create an account on there too. But it's also because whenever you do use Uplay, Ubisoft has a way to like, hey, we're gonna direct like targeted stuff towards your way, like promotional deals and whatnot. That's only exclusively to you, tailored and whatnot. Like in a lot of ways too. I don't know if this actually works as well, since like I don't think I've ever actually hop on the Uplay store outside of maybe Breakpoint to just get some shit. But man, navigating through the Uplay launcher was awful. Like, yeah. And this is also again too, why do you think that in this case people feel this way? Because Steam does it better. Steam actually does better compared to what all these other developers do with their fucking titles or their own launcher that they try to do. Hell, the EA thing, I forgot what it's called at this point too. It's been a while, but that shit already fell through.
I think it's called Origin.
Origin? Oh, whatever.
Called Origin. I think they changed it. They changed their name, but it used to be called Origin.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it was. It shows you how long it's been too since I thought about this. But even then,
literally, it's just called the EA app. EA
app. Oh my god, they became unoriginal with that shit. All right, yeah, they gave up on that. EA effectively gave up on that because they knew that they were not gonna like pull any more people on there. The only customer base they had that would actually use that shit would be like the Sims 4 player base, especially with like 15 other expansion DLCs that are out there. God, I fucking hate it.
It's kind of hilarious because Sims is on Steam now.
Yeah, The Sims 4 is on Steam. So there's like, what is the point now to even get the Origin app anymore? At this point, make it so that Steam retroactively removes any game that requires you to have to launch another launcher to play the game. God, this
that would be nice actually. That would be a nice requirement for them to do.
I would say here's the thing about it too. I think the only good example of, let's say you launch a game that launches into another launcher, the only one that's not as annoying is like the Baldur's Gate 3 launcher.
Yeah, they just tells you to press play, but that's kind of well, annoying to me because what's the point? Why not just launch the game?
Fair enough. But obviously, too, it's whatever at this point. That would still be better doing it that way versus like what everything else is, where you have to create an account. Just saying. Yeah, if you compare it, yeah, it's both of them are still technically annoying as shit to deal with, but at least that one side with Baldur's Gate 3 is objectively better than the others.
I think the games without launchers of any kind are the best.
Yeah, same here too. Why do you think you see a lot of like these indie games actually pop off well? Let's put some correlation math here. Why does Lethal Company work so well too? It doesn't have their own proprietary launcher that you're gonna go through, or their game is not being released on another platform. Like, it's very much like, again, the only reason that was the case too is like publishers did not want to pay like the 30%, or they didn't want like Valve like to take 30% of their sales just so that they could platform their games onto Steam. Because based on the way how they're budgeting and how they're spending too, yes, that 30% hurts them a lot. But then again, that's also on them too, because they're definitely not spending their money correctly based on the newer titles that we've been seeing. Oh shit, look at this too. As I look through the Steam page, Assassin's Creed Origin is on sale for $6.
No, that's the 10% off, bro. That's just the usual whatchamacallit, like release discount.
Yeah. Jeez. Right now. So going back to the point as well with it, it is definitely like Valve in this case does have a monopoly when it comes to trying to, or when it comes to having an e-commerce space for games. But the biggest thing about that too is that like everyone is in agreement that like this is a good monopoly to have here. That Valve at least is in charge of like this whole market space here. Just because Valve at this point too has been doing good for the entire consumer base too. They've been updating stuff, tweaking the UIs, making it perform a lot better. There's still some issues here and there too, but it's like mostly like per case kind of shit. Here, literally what we say joke about it too is that the CEO of Valve, Gabe Newell, literally does nothing, and he wins too, as all of these companies are crawling back to Steam whenever they said that we won't be hosting any of our games on the Steam platform anymore. Therefore, that was also like a period of time where a lot of indie games were popping off, because now Steam or the platform itself is like devoid of a lot of AAA titles. So therefore, all of our games could be propped up too. Maybe that was also the reason why. But now all the big studios are coming back to Steam since, yeah, who would have thought? They're the biggest platform that has reach across the globe. So I don't know what to say here outside of the fact that like they wasted their time trying to create their own platform, hoping the fact that they could solidify their own customer base. When in reality, though, if you were actually a PC gamer too, you most likely will only ever interact with like Steam-based product stuff. Like, there's no way to like look at it too. Nintendo is the only, not really anomaly, the only people that could get away with it too, just because, let's be honest, a lot of times if you buy Nintendo games, it's primarily for the Switch, so therefore they can make their own stores. And I've heard too that it's also somewhat ass too, because they hardly do sales, or they hardly drop the prices down, even after like 5 years after their release, looking at the Legend of Zelda games. But needless to say, they're allowed to do that because it's their own space too. So it's like, in some ways, Valve has their biggest monopoly for like PC games, whereas Nintendo has a monopoly for like handheld stuff. But it's mostly because it's just a Switch. I don't know. Needless to say, I don't think in general too that like this would actually affect Valve either too, because from what we see historically too, they've been really much like cooperative when it comes to like, hey, we will work with our customer base to make sure that like they get the best service that we could give them too, while at the same time we maintain our position in practically the market dominance too. And if that also means too that like, hey, we got to negotiate with the indie developers to make it so that the community survives, yeah, we'll do that too. By just saying we could drop it from 30% to 20%, which is still a lot too, but you know, that's actually way better than nothing. And if we're going to be complaining about the fact that Steam takes like 30% for purchases and whatnot, why aren't we going after the App Store or the Google Play? Why aren't we going after Apple or Google? Which in this case, Google did actually get hit by this shit too. Whatever their Play Store was taking so much from like the sales too. I think they lost it to Epic Games, if I remember, Victor.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So in general too, if we were going to be bitching and complaining about like the fact that Steam is charging this case 30% or taking 30% of your sales, why aren't we targeting like these guys too? They're also like a commerce platform too, just not like PC games, but like the App Store, which is far more far-reaching than what Steam could ever accomplish yet. I just picture at some point too that there'll be the craziest moment when Steam decides to say, hey, fuck it, we're gonna make our own app store too. And we're gonna also platform a lot of mobile games on that shit too. Which I don't think is ever gonna happen because of Apple being a piece of shit, software-wise at least. I was about to say Circuit. Oh my fucking god, what is wrong with me today?
Today?
Sorry, tonight.
Tonight?
My words. Oh, no. Fine. Mine's being, I feel like I ranted long enough about this too, but is there like anything else that you guys feel whatever I was explaining about this shit too? Like, is it something that honestly needs to be warranted, probably further discussion, or is it something that's just pointless at this rate?
I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I knew nothing of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just kind of listened.
I mean, based on what you listened so far, like, what could you realistically say about it?
I honestly just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just.
And no, that's a no. Here's the thing. Yeah, no. Here's the thing. That's perfectly fine for you to say that too, because that's another thing too. That like a lot of these developers and publishers, they're doing their best to like try to make sure they themselves don't lose money. But when in reality, you're trying to sell games to, in this case, the consumers. In this case, the average consumer like Loy here. They don't give a fuck about the fact that you have to pay 30% in order, or Steam is taking 30% of your sales to do that. For all the consumers, this is just the cost to do business.
It is.
So whether or not this is like a good thing to think about this or whatnot too, a lot of people are need to remember too that like, you're in the game industry here. You are in this case foremost making an entertainment product for your consumers. At the end of the day, if your shit does not sell, that's still on you then, because you couldn't figure a way how to get people to buy your game, whether it's like your marketing or your game just doesn't appeal to people. Like, I've tried to think about this too in like the most like gentle way saying it, especially for like indie developers too, but honestly no, that's about it too. Like, you are definitely, no matter what you're doing, you have to be making sure that like at the end of the day you are selling a product to people, and if people like your product, then they'll sell. If they don't like your product, then you're just going to get limited sales. That is literally black and white statement about like, will your game be bought by someone? Yes or no? And for Valve too, they are only in this case just allowing people to like host their games, and obviously they need to like take some money in order for them to like run like at this point a very massive platform.
Business is business, you know.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people who truly do understand that too, especially like, yeah, like when we thought about it too, it's the fact that like, yeah, even though like, yes, 30% is very much egregious, but we get to like we get to make sure that our game has a better outreach. to everything else. Because let's be honest, Steam is also like the pseudo publisher too. Like they can like kind of freely, not really freely, but they will like recommend your games to people too. And then at least that's enough like for a marketing than like what the publishers do for like TV or like internet ads. And even if that was the case too, that they can just lower their like what they take for like every sales too, they're honestly making a lot of money alone too from all their other projects. The Steam Deck, Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, literally everything else that Valve has touched to. They literally have other ways that they can generate money. Albeit, yeah, if they lowered their 30% to like, let's say 20 to 15%, it's gonna hurt, but it's not like gonna be the point where they'll go bankrupt either. Hell, I hear too that like the average Valve developer makes like 6-digit salary.
Well, that's honestly normal.
Yeah.
How many 6 digits we're talking about? If it's like 100 grand, that's like normal salary nowadays.
I think it's like 150 plus.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. But compared to like every other studios, especially with the current state of like AAA studios right now too, that's actually the best deal they could get. Or it's something that
AAA studios, some AAA studios pay a lot too.
Yeah. But you know, we hear like the mass layoffs here and there too, which doesn't sound good for everybody. But
Indeed.
But moving back to the point here, Steam itself too is, I believe, for the most part, they're doing so many good things, at least as a pro consumer, that we as the collective group have kind of recognized it as like, yeah, Steam is like a monopoly, but that's okay. Because everything else that they do right now has been so great for us too that we don't really care the fact that it is a monopoly. Hell, for regulators, this is like a, hey, we need to investigate this because by all definitions, Valve is a monopoly. But I don't know how that would really stick when there's like the entire consumer base are just like, we're kind of happy that this is a monopoly here. But like minus the fact, yeah, like let's look at like the other comparison for a monopoly as an example here, Google. And it's obvious too that like, yeah, people did not like Google just because the fact that, hey, there's like multiple reports of like them kind of taking people customer data and selling it. And there was even a time too, like even in your Google Drive too, they can retroactively change or delete your own shit in your own drive just because you're using the Google servers to do so. Which a lot of times that's to be expected because it's not like your storage there, it's Google storage that you're using for free as part of your account. So still, it's bad enough anyways when they have the ability to do that type of shit. And it does scare the fuck out of people sometimes. Because that also means too that a lot of people, as like Google means for Google and everybody else here, they're looking at your personal data. So really good for, at least for the most part, Google's being hit by that type of shit because it was definitely everything they did was like against the consumers. Whereas for Valve, everything they did do is for the consumers. Hell, Valve doesn't even do anything at all too. And everybody still goes back to Steam. The joke being, they do nothing, yet people still use our shit.
Yeah.
And when they do something too, it affects everybody in a positive light.
Yeah.
So, to say the least too, reading up on a lot of this stuff too, yeah, here's the thing here. I can sympathize with a lot of like the indie developers that are saying that the 30% is too much. It definitely is. But you really got to look at the big picture here too. Yeah. Let's just say your potential sales, you're only going to keep like 30% of that too. You're not at least you're not also at least releasing your game with already a publisher that has also released your game onto Steam. Based on how much the publisher is going to take, that 30% might end up being you're going to get 50% of your whole sales being taken here. So needless to say, I don't think a lot of indie developers would actually work with like a lot of publishers if they actually have like take rates to that level. But that's something to really consider about this too. Because is it better to do that too versus if you are at the whims of your publisher? Yes, the best that they will probably do to you is that they give you like a fixed rate amount of money and they'll take like some amount of percentage of sales too. You're getting way less money than if you would do if you were to just self-publish it yourself and let Steam kind of just have your game just roll out in all of its algorithms, kind of showing that to other people.
I mean, that's the problem though. Like, publishers, you're paying for their fan base. You're not really paying for them to do anything. You're paying for their marketing team and their fan base.
Yeah. And
when you do it yourself, it's obviously a hit or miss whether your game is gonna be popular or not. It's gonna depend on how you market your game.
Yeah, and even then too, if you were to do that shit and go with the publisher, it's still like a hit or miss regardless.
I mean, true, but you still have exposure. You have greater exposure.
Mm-hmm.
You have, I shouldn't say that. You have exposure to a specific audience.
Yeah. And that's again too, the like, yeah, it does depend on the game that you're making in the end here. Like, if you want to keep like your creative freedom too and make a game whatever you want to have about it too, I think it's still better off that you're getting this deal versus like if you try to shoot the same idea to a publisher and they kind of shoot this idea down, because the publishers, they need to make money too. If they don't see your game being able to make money, then what was the point of like what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
So it really is like a back and forth about this shit too. Oh, and also there's a claim too that like because of like Steam taking 30% too, that it's driving up the cost of like a lot of games. And I kind of call bullshit on that.
It is bullshit because this has been there for like a long time.
Yeah, it's been like this for a long time. And guess what too? Baldur's Gate 3 released itself at like a regular $60 game and it still sold a lot. And it had like the budget of a AAA game. So what gives? Why do we need to accept the fact that games are going to be $70? Why can't we just have games that are $20 to like $40 or $50 here? Helldivers 2 released with only a $40 price tag. And that's sold so much. And that's sold a lot of units too. So again, it's definitely like I will just say too that like this is them, like the bigger studios, they are misreading the market by hella big margin here. But it's obvious too that like again, you're trying to do this because justify increasing your prices at a time where right now gamers at this point, they are trying to be more frugal with their money spending. So either way too, like probably that you mentioned to me, Victor, that like at this point, all games should be free to play because that's their best way of like, at least like if you want to get a mass amount of player base, that's how you got to do it. And you just do the microtransaction stuff. Albeit that was also like the bane of everybody's existence. But let's be honest, if a game is free to play and they don't have microtransactions, how the fuck is that game supposed to stay alive?
I mean, people should have like some realistic expectations.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of have at this point too, especially how a lot of these games kind of feel right now. I really hate the fact that like $70 is becoming a new norm for a lot of new games lately. But obviously all those new games that I look at too, I don't really buy them often either. I usually look at the most stupid ones too, like Supermarket Simulator.
Yeah.
So yeah, needless to say, I think in general too, the whole right now with Steam, at the end of the day, they're doing a good thing right now too. And I'm pretty sure that like whatever class action lawsuits comes their way too, they could honestly settle this really easily by doing a quick policy change. Just because in a lot of Steam's best interest, they want to make sure they keep maintaining the dominant market dominance that they have right now too. So obviously they'll do their best to work with like regulators whenever they can. But so far right now, a lot of people aren't like really pushing for the fact that Steam or Valve gets fined heavily or they change themselves heavily. Because let's be honest, not a lot of people really care too much about anything that Steam does. Because unless they do something bad, then people will care. Until then, nothing else was really happening to them.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's really crazy that, like, again, people want to see shit like this happening to Valve, but I'm like, if you do that type of stuff too, don't expect the same quality of like content that you're gonna get if like Valve and Steam is like hit this hard and they had to change a lot of things for the fact that they need to meet like some arbitrary shit to not be considered a monopoly.
Mhm.
So, needless to say, I'm glad the fact that or for me, I'm glad to see that a lot of games are coming to Steam too. It's like a funny haha moment, especially to Ubisoft, who they were really trying to rely on the Uplay stuff. But as I look at the store, I see Assassin's Creed, Hitman, all of their other Ubisoft titles are coming in here too. Man. Insert the Thanos line too. Then the end game too. What did it all lead you back? All of you guys come back to me. Or you couldn't live with your failures. And where did I lead you? Back to me. That was the exact quote. God damn it.
Good job for ruining it, Brian.
Yeah, my bad. I'm
Oh.
just fucking man.
He loves
What?
you. Okay.
What?
Don't let him bring you down.
Wait. I do, but yeah.
Who loves it?
But I do think the only biggest thing that will probably hit their way too is the amount of fucking porn games that I see on Steam.
Yeah, sure. Can I see your Steam library?
I do not have any of that purchased.
Bro, just look at any of those games, bro. It shows who owns them.
Yeah. Although they recently came out with a feature of a private libraries, but I don't know how that feature works.
No, that's lame. Keep everything public.
For real, bro.
Yeah. Keep that shit public. We need to blast our friends if we see any of those porn games on any of their library lists or wish listed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But other than that too, I feel like this is as much as I can really talk about that too. Game Awards was pretty much, it was good this year. I don't think there was a lot of big drama like last year too. Kind of wish that kid went up there again, but it is what it is. And Steam too. We are in this case a massive supporter of what Valve does because we are all constant users or constant customers of them too. So I hope everything they still keep the same here too, and hopefully the class action lawsuit doesn't really affect them that much. This is just hoping, at least. I'm probably gonna say a lot more stuff over the weeks too about this shit, since the class action lawsuit news only came out like maybe a week ago. That was the only thing I knew about it. So, anything that you guys would like to add to this conversation, or you like a farewell message?
No. Love
Damn.
everybody. That's all they need to
No,
know.
it doesn't.
Oh damn.
Yeah, don't
So
listen
which
to
is
that
it?
guy.
Damn. Who do we listen to?
Don't listen to the gaslighter. But who's the gaslighter? We're both gaslighting.
I think the gaslighter is the gaslighter, if you ask me.
Yeah, dude. Who do you want to
Goddamn.
believe?
That sounds like Brian Bowie.
God damn it. This is like the confusing ass riddle where it's like two statues that speak to you. And you had to guess. One of us speaks lies while the other says the truth. Which one of us is lying?
I'm lying. But is that the truth? Who knows?
Yeah.
That is the truth.
It's
But yeah.
weird.
Yeah. So there's that. But thank you again for tuning in for this week's podcast too. I don't think there will be a one for next week too, as holy shit, it is the holidays. And yeah, again, apologies.
Holidays.
Apologies again for a lot of infrequent scheduling. Like what I mentioned beforehand too, this was going to happen as a lot of us are currently out doing stuff right now for the holidays. Michael is not with us too, just because from what I remember too, he's currently celebrating his fiance's graduation of her degree at the moment. So
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
yeah.
Where's
But-
my invite? Just kidding.
That's a very good question. We're supposed to be his best man. I'm kidding, Michael. We all love you, but please answer your damn phone.
Correct. I agree with that statement.
Yeah. But until then, too, thank you again for tuning in. Hope you guys have a happy holiday, too. Probably won't be a stream next Saturday, but you know what? If you do hear from us, too, please tune in, listen to us, grab a drink, and enjoy your night here. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
I love you more.
What?
What?
문턱은 넘어서면 어지러워 내게 편한 나의 경계선이었어 심장만 어지럽혀 치워둔 쓸모없는 감정은 먼지 덮여 여길 벗어나면 죽음 익숙한 슬픔보다 낯선 행복이 더 싫어서 걸음버린 나 헌신발이 될까만 겁이 나 세상 세월 사람 날 꺾어 신어서 잊고 있어 문 앞에 수북히 쌓인 신문과 고지서처럼 나와 상관없는 세상의 생각 요구들 내 앞에 늘어놓지 마 This is my home, leave me alone 여기만은 들어오지 마 이젠 눈물 없이도 그저 숨 쉬듯이 집이 되어버린 슬픔을 한 걸음 벗어나려 해도 문턱에서 나도 모르게 운다 내게 행복할 자격 있을까? 난 왜 얕은 상처 속에도 깊이 빠져 있을까? 사는 건 누구에게나 화살새랬지만 나만 왜 맘에 달라붙은 관역이 클까? 감정이 극과 극 달리고 걸음 느린 난 뒤떨어져 숨 막히고 내 맘을 못 줘 세상을 놓쳐 몇 걸음 위 행복인데 스스로 한 단씩 계단을 높여 누구에겐 두려운 일 하지만 내겐 웃음보다 자연스러운 일 사람이 온다는 것은 참을수록 길게 내뱉게만 되는 그저 그런 숨 같은 일 Let me breathe 슬픔이 내 집이잖아 머물래 난 제자리에 잠시 행복 속으로 외출해도 반드시 귀가 할 맘인걸 이젠 알기에 그저 숨 쉬듯이 집이 되어버린 슬픔을 한 걸음 벗어나려 해도 문턱에서 나도 모르게
your presence is still alive. Your voice, I still hear it. I still feel your spirit in the room. Feel heavily with the center, yeah. We wasn't all in your shoes, but couldn't help but notice your views. So many aspects of truth. In fact, you let the past get to you. So thoughts on a better future, it couldn't suit you alone. We were stoned by the snakes that this life is sin. But you taught me a life lesson to fight within. Use the power of our minds. I was confused that somehow in time my eyes were dark brown but blind. But now I see even the sun shines through blinds. And now I'm moving light in the sightings that I find enticing in my prime. Like, look at me now. You used to tell me read books, niggas booking me now. But how could I have done it without you though? You was the big bro I never ever had, you know. Why you had to go, it hurt me inside. I feel guilty walking around outside with false pride. If only we could vibe like one more time. Hear one more line of shit, one more rhyme. Even show me one more sign of destiny itself would be fine. But there's no turning back, the hands of time or delaying the plans of your mastermind. So I hope you came across to what you had to find. And watch over the ones you once loved. You was my nigga when push came to shove. One love. One love. One love. One love. The sky's the limit, that's what they told the fucking fool. I the sky's the limit, now I'm aiming for the sun and moon. The sky's the limit, that's what they told the fucking fool. The sky's the limit, that's what they told the fucking fools. Out the sky's the limit, now I'm aiming for the sun and moon. Now I'm aiming for the sun and moon. Long live Stilo.